I want to ask you a personal question. What past lives have you had in Australia that drew you to come over and do this good work here?
That's an interesting question. I've never even thought to even ask or to look into that. And I think I will because now that you've asked, because it's funny. I don't know if you can see
I,
behind me. There's a didgeridoo here, and I learned to play that in about 2 weeks. I had heard I was at a whole life expo, and some people actually were in a booth who had didges, and they were playing it, and I loved the sound. The sound just drew me to their booth, and I just had to have one of those things. And within 2 weeks, I had taught myself to play it, so including the circular breathing. So I know I have some connection with Australia. I'm just not sure what.
well,
But I've seen a lot of past lives I've had, and they're all over the place,
yeah.
a lot in Asia and whatnot. But one thing I want to mention, because you mentioned how some people might think, oh, is this my imagination, or am I making this up, some kind of fantasy? I I remember once, although I've had this reinforced many, many times, that the reality of this, but one experience really stands out as a woman who came to me. I had been working with her girlfriend doing some past life around a marriage relationship. And she came to me because she had heard of what her girlfriend had experienced. And she said, Dr. Richards, I kind of got a unique situation. She says, I was given up for adoption right at birth. And although I have great adoptive parents, I have a real loving relationship with them. She says, I've always wanted to know and to meet my birth mother. But at birth, they seal the records of who my birth mother was. And so I've had no way of finding out who she was. I'm wondering if you could take me back to sort of the birth and see if there's any way we can find out who my mother was. And I told her, I says, well, I've never used my work for that before, but we can try, see what happens. So actually, to start out, I took her back to when her mother first realized she was pregnant. And her mother was like a teenage girl. And, she had accidentally got pregnant. She's in her bedroom when she realizes that she's pregnant. And she's freaking out. And my client's reliving this and describing in detail her mother's bedroom. And, with her mother. And then we went to the point where her mother first told the family that she was pregnant. And her boyfriend was there, who happened to be Hispanic. And the family weren't happy about this, and the grandmother particularly was pretty angry and was suggesting that something has to be done about this, and so it was a tense scene. And then I took her to the birth, where she's in her mother's in the delivery room, and she's giving birth. And as she comes out of the womb, we're sort of listening to see if there are any cues as to who her mother really is. And at a certain point, when she's born, the doctor says, oh, Mrs. Smith, you have a beautiful baby daughter. So we got her mother's last name. And then the doctor handed her off to a nurse. And at some point, her mother's first name was mentioned.
Mm.
And so we got her biological mother's first and last name. So we ended the session, and she right away hired a private detective because she knew the city and the state she was born in, and she knew, of course, the date. So she gave him that information. Within days, he called her back and says, this is your mother's phone number. You can contact her if you like.
Wow.
She contacted her mother, had an incredible reunion, ended up flying up to spend some time with her. They got along famously. Her mother had said, I've always been curious, wanting to know, what happened to you. So they had this incredible reunion. But the interesting thing that happened was she asked her mother, she said, when you first got pregnant with me and you were, kind of upset about it, and you were in your bedroom, did you have a dresser that looked like this and certain furniture that looked like, and her mother's like eyes lit up, how in the world did you know that, you know?
Yeah.
Then
Amazing.
she went on to describe the scene where her mother was telling the family that she was pregnant, and her mother was just blown away that she actually, it was almost like she was sort of hovering there watching that scene on the inner. And so it confirmed everything she had experienced, even in the prenatal before the birth. And she even got in contact with her biological father. And so she really reconnected with everyone.